All right, you know what it is. This is the Big Douglas Show. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. In the guest co-host chair to me today is the editor of Full Press Commanders now, George Carmy. George, how are you?
What's up, fellas? How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Chris Baker is here every Monday. Swaggy, how you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
And our guest today is Pierre Garcon. Pierre, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Appreciate you hopping on with us today.
My pleasure.
I know how these guys feel, Pierre. I'm curious how you like the new Commanders logo, the rollout, and I know how Chris feels on this. But will you always be a Redskin, or will you now be a Commander? How does that work?
Well, I guess I'll take the title as both, but it's going to be hard to remember to keep saying Commanders until the Commanders get a lot of victories, so that we're used to seeing Commanders, and the W and the logo all runs well when we're getting those victories. So always hard to say I'm a former Commander, but I'll take it when the victories come.
And Chris, that's pretty much what you said too.
Yeah, without a question. It definitely sounds weird to say it, but it's something that we're probably gonna have to get accustomed to saying it. But once they start winning, and then we could get accustomed to it, and then we'll probably start saying it. Because as of right now, I'm Chris Baker from the Redskins.
Now, Pierre, are you used to off seasons without football now? Chris, you've been out the league for a little bit, but Pierre, only a couple years for you, right?
Yeah, it's only been a couple of years. I'm actually very used to the offseason without football. Unfortunately, I can't travel as much as I used to, which what we always look forward to during the offseason. But it's opening back up. But I'm used to the offseason. There's no football. We just focus on other things like golf and fishing and the sun.
The sun is nice. What kind of golfer are you?
One that's gonna keep getting better.
Right.
I would say my handicap is a 10, but certain days it's better. Certain days you're like, that ain't it.
I saw you and Fletch talking a lot about y'all golf swings, man. So I'm gonna stay out of that golfing conversation.
Don't start trying to golf. It's the worst thing you would do to yourself.
Yeah, golfing's one of the hardest sports to get into because you can be perfect one day and the next day be absolutely awful no matter what you do. You can be at the exact same form as bad luck over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pierre and Chris, let me actually ask you guys a question. So I know the fan base, we're actually super happy to have you guys back and being part of this whole alumni process. How did that happen? How did you guys get involved with this? Like, has it been everything you expected it to be? Are you really happy with this whole alumni interactions, or what's your take on everything, Pierre?
My take on everything. Me, Chris Baker, the guys that are currently playing, we always know at some point we're going to be an alumni because they always had those alumni around us in the locker room, in the building, at events. So we always knew we'd be an alumni, and those alumni love coming back and love, supporting your team, especially when you're getting something to support. So me and Baker, I'm sure we always knew that we'll be wearing a maroon jacket, coming back to the games and having reunions and meeting up with our former teammates, people that work in the front office, and friends and guys on the staff. So, being an actual alumni now, it's like, all right, we saw this coming in, now it's more excitement with, the new direction the team is going.
Cool. Chris, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's always, great to come back around, especially in a place that you were loved. I always love being back with the DC fans, like ever since I got a chance to play, they always supported me, and I've always tried to sign as many autographs as I can just to stay connected with the fans. So, it feels great to be an alumni. Tim Hightower has been doing a really good job at reaching out to a lot of the former alumni who probably wasn't even as involved with the team, but he's been able to reach out to a lot of guys, even to see guys like Brian Arakpo, who hasn't been back to Washington, since the day he left and signed with Tennessee. So Tim is doing a really good job at reaching out to alumni and getting them around the team, and hopefully the team could put something good on the field so we can all have something to be proud to cheer on.
Pierre, what you got going to take up your free time now that you're not playing?
Golf. Well, I do other things down here too as well. I'm a commercial landlord. I have a lot of properties down there that I manage, so that's keeping me busy. And with COVID, that made it tougher to navigate. But I just spend a lot more free time now with my family, enjoy seeing my mom and my sisters, and enjoying being home with not much responsibilities.
Where did you end up retiring to?
Florida. I just went back home to Florida. West Palm Beach is home. Miami is home. So I just go back there to the beautiful weather and the palm trees.
And the boats and the yachts.
We are all jealous of the Florida weather, I assure you of that. Fluent in French.
Repeat that for me.
You're fluent in French, yes?
I'm fluent in Creole. I'm working on, that's one of the things I've been working on during the off season, or not the off season, since I've been done, is working on my French, but I haven't stuck with it enough. But I can, hold a conversation in French, but I wouldn't say I'm fluent yet, but I'm very close.
Yeah, no, I love that. Let's get into the game a little bit. I'm curious if you see any guys that remind you of yourself in the league now.
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. I think with Kyle Shanahan being in San Francisco, I knew he was bringing in a younger receiver, and Deebo Samuel was a guy, and I was like, hey, make sure we didn't cross paths, but he's like, hey, if you do know him, put out a good word, continue, inspiring to help him know that this is how we run our program, and Deebo has taken the baton and ran with it further than I could have. So that's one of the guys that remind me of stuff in the league, and I'm happy with the system that he's in, the production that he's producing, and the success he's had.
Are you surprised they aren't using Antonio Gibson a little bit more in that Deebo Samuel role?
As for,
like, they mostly have been running him this year. I'm surprised they haven't put him out more to receive passes.
That's that's a mismatch that we could take advantage of. Would love to see it, but obviously that come from the offensive coordinator, the head coach, and trying to use those weapons to their advantage, especially a guy that was a former receiver.
Yeah, because he's still learning how to play the position, really.
you never lose. You never lose that. Being a receiver, you never lose that position. That's
right.
Hey, so Pierre, I think, you definitely were a fan favorite in DC. One of my favorite things about you was that you played so passionate and angry, and you kind of had, you brought that flair to offense. Like, you were like a dog on offense, which I love to watch. What motivated you, and what drove you to get to that point? Because I feel like we start seeing that with Terry McLaurin a little bit. It's starting to come about a little bit, step by step, but that was my favorite part about you. What was your intrinsic motivation? What got you to that point?
There's a politically correct answer, and then there's locker room answers.
I love to hear both. Go ahead.
I'll give you the politically correct answer. I enjoyed playing football.
Yeah.
I enjoy being out there to compete. I love being in the locker room. And then when I'm in the locker room, I wouldn't say I yell at guys, but I tell guys they should be doing a better job. And if you're telling somebody they should be doing a better job, you have to do a better job.
100%.
So that was always my message to the defenders, to the defense, to the other offensive players, that I'm going hard, and I will continue to go hard so that you guys can go hard. So it was a little inspiration for myself to keep myself going, because I hate losing. I hate being defended. I hate defenders. So whenever I get an opportunity to give them a piece of their own medicine, that was me playing.
He was definitely the angry wide receiver, but we needed that spark.
We loved it, though. I love, you need that spark. That was great. That was awesome.
Pierre catch a slant for a first down and growling. You see them little
the little fangs.
That he had, man. Pierre was crazy.
One of my favorite.
It was damn near a fight after every play with Pierre.
And we love that as DC fans. One of my favorite plays, I don't know if you remember, Pierre, but basically I think it was against the Eagles. I think in 2015, it was a game-winning play. It was a quick slant. You got drilled by both defenders. You got off, scored a touchdown, and you spiked the ball. Does that still ring a bell for you? Do you remember that play?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Almost every catch or every game, you kind of remember something from it. But yeah, that game there was special. It was fun. We were down by a lot, and to make it happen on the last play, it's like a dream come true. It's like what Meek Mill said. It's like we scored we scored the winning touchdown, and it was against Philly. It was and it was at home.
It was huge, man. It was huge.
Like a dream come true. And like you said, I got crushed, but it made it worthwhile because I caught the ball and we won the game and we celebrated. I think that was like our last home game of the year.
Yeah, it was. I believe
in
so.
the stadium.
Yeah.
So it was great.
One more question. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I remember that first touchdown pass that you caught from RG3 inside the
Mhm.
that was
the one.
crazy.
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God, we got the best offense.
What did y'all think when he rolled out that offense? That RG3 offense for the first time, Pierre.
We knew it was gonna be tough. Go ahead, Baker.
Go ahead.
I would say we knew it was gonna be tough for defenses to catch up because Robert can throw it far. He can throw it. He can throw a bullet pass. He can run. We got speed on the outside, so we knew it was gonna be tough for guys to catch up on. And then we just have to keep improvising and keep getting better and getting more yards. That what motivates the offense to keep pushing, keep believing in it when we as players get more than we're supposed to. But we knew it was going to be a hassle for the defenders to defend everything: the deep ball, the quick throws, as well as his arms and his foot.
Yeah, man, it was crazy just seeing it in practice. Being able to go against Alfred and RG3, Pierre, Santana, Hankerson.
Stacked. That was good.
We had Jordan Reed. We were stacked, man. It was like pick your poison. And when RG3 was at his best, man, our offense was rolling and couldn't too many teams really stop us because we'll have over 300 yards passing, and then Alfred definitely was having over 100 yards, and RG3 may even have 80, 90 yards in that. So he was kind of like the Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson really came out.
He was.
I wish he could have stayed a little bit more healthy and then rode this thing out. But our team was special, man, especially on offense.
Two of my favorite plays of the year was Pierre Garcon's first. I think that was Griffin's first touchdown pass with the Saints, an 88-yard touchdown, first play of the game. And then you guys spanked the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. And Garcon had a big 50. He exploded and ran for 60 yards for a touchdown there too. So thank you for the memories, Pierre. I appreciate that a lot. It was good.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, cool. Pierre, got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Who did you like playing with better, RG3 or Kirk Cousins?
It's a great question, Chris. It's a great question. We knew Kirk was not going to run out of the pocket and, try to save the day with his legs. We knew he was going to, he knew he had to sit in the pocket and throw it. And he wasn't always on time. His arm wasn't as strong because we're used to RG3's arm. But Kirk, we knew he's not going to run around. So that was easier for a receiver. Like, we're like, hey, he's going to see the hole before it happens. He's going to see the throw. And, it's going to come or he's checking it down. Robert, we have to stay alive. And that was part of like our 2-minute drill too, like stay alive. Like, half the guys go upfield, half the guy come back across the vision. So it's easier when your quarterback is going to be in the pocket because then you just have to beat the defender.
So you're saying you preferred to play with Kirk?
I prefer to play with a quarterback in the pocket. Robert stayed in the pocket, but,
the PC answer. Good job.
You got to run. You got to run.
So
I don't blame him.
So during your time in Indianapolis, what were some of the guys that you looked up to and helped you develop your work ethic? Because, in Washington, it was crazy to see, obviously you practice hard, but every time there was a special team period and guys would, just take that as a chill period, you'll just see Pierre catching, doing little two-toe touches on the side, like just catching all day, every day. It was never like an off period for you. So where did you develop that?
Oh, man, in Indy, that's where we learned. I learned from all the Hall of Famers and the pros and the guys that were, around me every day. We had Peyton, which Peyton's like, hey, we're going to throw the ball. So if you can't catch the ball, you won't be here long. And that made perfect sense to me. And Reggie and Marvin Wayne was there, and those guys had, those guys weren't bigger than me. They weren't, like faster than me. They were just, experienced, and they would practice catching the balls even, during special team period because those guys didn't do special team. So, I watch those guys do it all the time. So they're just getting extra rep of catching the ball. That's why they're Hall of Famers and they're great at catching balls or route running or doing things that, they can take advantage of. And that's what I carried over to with me because the more you do something, the better you get at it, the more comfortable you get with it. And sometimes luck will fall your way because you've done it so much that, it didn't go the wrong way, it went the right way. So that's where I learned a lot of, my professionalism at where, you keep working on what you need to be good at. You have to catch the ball, you have to be fast, and you have to have the endurance to, play 4 quarters. So, it's easy. And I brought it over to, to DC, tried to, try to keep it going, and it worked out for me.
Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is one of the moments that we always, laugh and joke about. Well, let's go back. I forgot what year.
There's a couple of those. There's
a
couple
go
of
back
those.
to the Philadelphia game. We was out there to win the NFC East, and it was about 3 or 4 seconds left, and Kirk took a knee. Can you tell us what happened on that 4th down when we called a timeout and Jay wanted to do he wanted to throw the back shoulder fade, and
Coach
we
wanted to call it back shoulder fade,
kick the field goal.
Yeah, we wanted to call it back shoulder fade. We weren't particularly good at back shoulder fades. We weren't good at regular fade. So the back shoulder fade is like we're complicating something that's not supposed to be complicated. If we miss a regular fade, it goes out of the end zone. There's no interception involved. Coach wanted to go back shoulder fade. I was like,
I remember that argument.
I was like,
and Jay loved calling those things too.
He does because he called it in Cincinnati with AJ Green and Andy Dalton. But we're in Washington D.C. with Pierre and Kirk Cousins, where if it doesn't look good between the two players, we probably shouldn't call it. So he ended up calling it. Kirk ended up taking the knee. Like, all right.
So I always tell people this was it was the funniest moment of any halftime I've ever been a part of, because that was the most argumentative halftime about why didn't we kick a field goal, or why didn't Kirk know what to do? How the hell does he take a knee with no timeouts left? DJ caught an asthma attack. Everyone was about to kill the coaches.
It was a lot going on. Which is normal in a football locker room sideline organization, but luckily we came back and won that game. But
it was to win the NFC East, man, and we just blew an opportunity to either score 7 or 3. He went out there and took a knee
and
time
we didn't score nothing.
We
We got to keep it simple. That's the name of the game.
Keep it simple, man. Kick the field goal. Let's go in here with some momentum, man.
it was health, but that trio of weapons between you, Djax, and Jordan Reed, maybe 3 of the best in the league at the time. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. I'm curious your thoughts on just how good the 3 of you could have been if health wasn't a factor.
I don't think health was a big factor. I think, it was just we were all young. We didn't have stability at quarterback. We didn't have stability at head coach. It wasn't, hard for us to make plays. We just couldn't make plays. The playmakers are there. It's just, some plays don't get called when they're supposed to. Some plays are more complicated than they're supposed to be. Some coaches want certain plays calls, and some coaches want players to make certain plays. But, we all knew we could make plays, but if we don't, it's all to waste.
Got you. So, Pierre, you've seen to play with a bunch of really strong wide receivers in your career. If I remember, Reggie Wayne, I believe Marvin Harrison, right? Deshaun Jackson, Santana Moss, right?
Yeah.
Who did you actually practice with? And you were like, man, there's freaking remarkable. It's unbelievable to watch. I just can't, I'm taking something away from them. Who stood out to you the most?
Oh, it was Reggie. That was my assignment when I came into the league. It was like, hey, watch what Reggie does. I was like, all right. Everything he does, like, just watch Reggie. And I always watched him because, it's a great person to watch. Mm-hmm. And I always analyzed what he did. He was always smooth. He wasn't the fastest, wasn't the biggest. Mm-hmm. He catch great, but, it was just, he just catch the ball very well, but he did everything efficient. And, and I was always comparing myself. I was like, I'm faster than him. I know I got more juice and more wiggle than him. But he obviously catch the ball better and understood the playbook, and obviously played in the league a lot longer than me. So he understood defenses, defenders. So he taught me those non-physical things that, got him open. And like, all right, this is great. But I kept watching him and still watch him, still watch his film today, and the way the guy get open, and like, wow, he's very, very good at it.
Cool.
Do you watch guys now? Do you, Washington could still use some? Do you see some guys coming out from college that you're high on?
It's harder to watch guys, like critique guys, when it's watching it on TV. When you're in the film room and you ask them what's the play, what was the assignment on this, and did they do the assignment, and how smooth did they come in and out of their assignment? that's what you can, gauge. But, when you're just watching highlights, it's like, all right, there's
everybody looks great on highlights.
Yeah, there's certain plays that, he did a great job, and there's certain plays, you're like, what happened on this play? But, I haven't really scouted players like that to see who's like, technically good and obviously numbers good too as well.
Well, it's probably somebody from Alabama.
That's a good answer.
Right?
You can never go wrong if you just pick one of those schools as a fact.
Right.
I'm curious, you guys, since we got both of you here, one from each side of the ball, when you get into halftime in a game where, say, one side of the ball, is doing much better than the other side of the ball, what are those conversations like at halftime?
At halftime, it's really like the offense go one side, the defense goes one side. Some teams knock out the offense and defense meeting first and then come together as a whole team, or some guys go straight to whole team meetings and then offense and defense split up. Because, everybody's watching the game. Everybody knows what's going on. You're either up or you're down. Obviously nobody wants to be in a position that's not playing well. So, you're like, hey, the offensive guys were like, hey, all right, defense, we got you. And defense is like, hey, all right, we got y'all. Offense, and then special teams like, hey, guys, we got one play we're going to make for you guys. It's just like a regrouping instead of pointing fingers. We know what situation we're in. Let's prepare for the next quarter. Let's see what we can get. Let's prepare for the first third down that we're gonna call, because that's gonna come. We know we don't want to be down, or if we are up, we're like, hey, keep it up, guys, because they're not gonna lay down. So we gotta keep it going. Prepare for the first down we're gonna call, the next third down we're gonna call. Prepare what yard lines we're gonna be on. Dictate which way the wind's going, which way we're gonna go, so that we have the wind with us in the fourth quarter. We're thinking about these things instead of being upset of the first two quarters, or we're building off the first two quarters.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much hit it right on the butt. It's been times when, the defense probably sucked in the first half and our offense carried us. And you get in that locker room, it's not like the offense like, yo, what the hell? Like, get it together. You know what I'm saying? In their mind, they probably thinking that, but when they get in the offense, they're like, yo, let's go. We got it, man. We're going to keep moving this thing, but y'all get it together.
Yeah.
And it's the same way on offense. Like, if we're having a good time on defense and the offense and struggling, be like, hey, we got your back, man. But come on, let's score some touchdowns, because we can't keep holding them down. You know what I mean? But it's always encouraging. And then you try to move on to the next play. Every once in a while, you may have a little bit of an argument, but for the most part, it's pretty chill. Offense does this thing, the defense does this thing. You talk about what went well. You talk about what we can improve, or what has hurt us, or what we should expect in the second half, and you just go out there and try and execute and win the game.
But I must say, as player to player, as a veteran to veteran, we do go to Bake like, hey, Bake, what's up?
What the fuck, man?
You do a friendly call out. Hey, Bake, like, I ain't seen you in the back. I ain't see your sack dance yet. Because you remember when Bake was doing the sack dance. Hey, Bake, hey, like, hey, P, and then they be like, hey, P, hey, man, I ain't see you spin the ball yet. I like, you know what? You're right. I haven't spit the ball yet. I need to. Like, hey, coach.
Spin that shit.
Yeah, so on the friendly type, like, I'm like, hey, Rackbo, like, get to the quarterback, man. Come on, like, they understand it, and we understand it too, because we're all trying to, get each other to do well, because we carry each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre, I'm curious, who was the toughest that you had guard you while you played? Did you have a couple where you looked at this guy and said, oh, today's going to be one of those days?
Well, the only time, like, it's going to be a day is where, like, there's two guys that played man-to-man around the whole field, like, for a majority of their career when they needed to. It was Revis and Patrick Peterson. Those guys, like, they're going to be like, hey, our assignment is to follow you all around the whole field. Those guys, which is easier coverage because you know what they're playing, which makes it easier. It makes it easier, but those are the guys that you respect. Like, all right, this guy's, he's staying tough. Sometimes when those guys are following you around, your team just decides to take you out of the playbook, for that day, which, that's the coach's decision, never the player's decision, but that's part of it. And, Revis, there was a moment where I was actually with the Jets. He was with the Jets. I was actually in Indy, and, they put him on me. He did a good job. But, he was guarding Reggie most of the time. But he would follow you around, which, that's guy saying, hey, we're here to play.
Yeah, that's rare to find. That's rare to find nowadays. Because I remember when we had signed Josh Norman and we had Breland. And Breland was like, man, I'm the number one corner. I don't know why they brought this dude in. And our first 3 weeks, we had Pittsburgh, Dallas, and New York. And Breland had a rough couple of games, and we started looking at Josh like, bro, we just paid you all this money, boy. You want to start following this number one.
That's
you know what I'm saying? But
that's what we want.
Comfort level. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't comfortable following the best guy all over the field.
It's not easy.
Be on that right side and just chill. You know what I mean? But it was crazy, man. That defensive meeting room was crazy because, you know, Breland was really good, you know, and he
was good.
Number one guy, and he should have got paid, But when we brought in Josh, man, it was just like, it was such a rivalry between the two because Breland wanted to be that guy, you know, and it was so interesting. And we came out the gate when we had Dez Bryant. That was the weekend Antonio Brown did the twerking, and that was on NFL Network every
infamous.
show.
That was awful, dude. So bad.
Then we had Odell. We was like, okay, Josh, man, we don't care what Breland talking about. We pay you too much money not to follow the best guys around here. So we tried to make that work, but that was a crazy ass experience, man.
Did it ever happen? Did it ever happen though?
I think he did it for a few times, but I think he went back to playing on the right side. I'm not sure.
Is that common to have a lot of say in what you guys can do and on the field, or is the coaches kind of like top down tell you what to do? Like, for instance, like Norman could travel or Norman had to play his scheme. Was there a lot of freedom as a player, or did coaches kind of tell you what to do?
Well, you kind of knew what your strengths were. So if you felt like, you know, your strength was following the number one guy and locking him down, then you would step up and say something. But if you allow somebody else to take that number one spot, then you probably know that you're just comfortable staying on one side. But that was never said. It's like, if y'all want me to do it, I'll do it. But the coaches gave him the freedom. Like, hey, if you want to do it your way. If you want to freaking follow the man, then follow the man. But Breland wanted to, you know, have his side and let Josh have his side. And, you know, it just didn't work out too good.
There's a huge England population that watches this. Do you guys, 2016, you guys went over there. Any stories, and did you enjoy your time over there?
In London?
Yeah.
Oh, it was straight, man. It wasn't.
London was fun. London was fun. There's a lot of stories, a lot of places, but I remember from London, we had a practice a Thursday night, right? Practice. We got on the plane after the Thursday night, get to London, I guess Friday noon, and we're supposed to go straight to another practice, straight off the plane.
Walkthrough.
It was something ridiculous where it was like we left practice, get on the plane to get back to practice.
We got to the hotel and had meetings immediately,
and then we had to go to practice,
and then we had to go to the walkthrough. But half the guys would sleep. The coaches was like on a cup of coffee, like, I don't know how we staying up. I don't think he said anything when guys would sleep because he was like, I don't know how you guys are making it.
Right. It was unique. It was very, very different. Our time was all different
because we had events to go to. It wasn't like we could just go and just explore London, you know. Yeah.
They did tell us to be safe out there with pickpocketers. Right. We ended up in a tie, which is my first tie ever in the NFL or a football game ever. We were supposed to win that game. Jay Reed had a good game. Jameson Crowder had a good game.
If it wasn't for you doing a pass interference on goddamn,
they call offensive pass interference on me. You know, it's crazy. They always call offensive pass interference on me.
Oh man,
they always call
it. Yo, that game, we just knew that you and Pac-Man was gonna fight at some point, bro.
You know, I was doing my job.
Oh man, we just knew. Out there, every whistle, we were just looking for Pierre and Pac-Man. Like, what the hell they about to do right now? That game was crazy.
It was fun. It was fun to play at Wembley Stadium, though. It was cool to see. Cool to see a lot of football fans out there.
And then they don't even wear like both of the team jerseys that's there. They just have whatever NFL jersey.
Whatever, yeah.
Right. Were you surprised how much bigger the field is?
Well, yeah,
because is it mostly just wider?
Yeah, it's mostly wider, but the stadium is very, very nice.
It's big, it's huge. It's probably bigger than anything we playing in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And the fans were excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for them to, just be learning about football and to not really cheer for one team or another, it's like every big play you had to look around because you didn't know if it was your team or the other team because they cheered for everything.
Yeah.
Extra point. Just really excited about it. That's fun. That's cool.
They're always talking about putting a team over there. Is it logistical from a player's perspective? I mean,
no.
No, right.
Hell no.
That's the problem.
Imagine having to fly from London to LA or, you know what I'm saying, or a Minnesota team having to go there and then have to come back and play on the next Sunday. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and every team can't have a bye week every week after they play in London or vice versa.
They'll try to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We won't be a part of it.
Right.
No, you guys won't have to worry about that.
What's your favorite city to play in? Obviously besides DC, in regard to either the stadium, the accommodations, or maybe I don't want to get you guys in trouble, but the party scene if you guys go to a different city as well. Like, what's the best city to play in besides DC?
Miami, we're going to the strip club, baby.
After the game or just going?
We always enjoy going to the big city: New York, LA, Arizona. Miami for sure. Atlanta is always good. Cities they're big cities, where you can have distractions before the game and after the game. Well, after the game, we're leaving to go back.
Basically, what he's mentioning is all them strip club places that's really hot. All them places he named got good strip clubs. Atlanta,
being from South Florida, you don't see most of the strip clubs. After that, you don't need to see. You don't need to look for any further.
I've never been out to Phoenix. Is it live out there?
Phoenix is live. Phoenix
it's live.
It's.
And if you're married, you should take your wife out there because they have some of the best spas in the world. Like, women really go to Phoenix just to go to their spas.
Yes,
it's crazy. It's really nice.
I'm sure they add Vegas to that list too as well. Great cities to travel to. And then on the West Coast, you get to leave a day early. We get to leave on Friday.
Right. Anytime you played on LA, we was out there Friday, so we had a whole day to really chill. Hopefully, Coach didn't give us no curfew.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You were talking about Vegas. It's Miami, I guess, probably is the closest to it. They're going to have to draft and bring in guys to that building that can handle being in Vegas.
That's they'd have to do that for DC too as well.
Right. It's a party scene in DC.
That's true.
But the casino life in Vegas, I don't know how far the facility is from the actual strip where all the casinos and stuff is, but guys like to gamble, and if you're down the street from that strip, boy, it's easy.
It's dangerous, right? Yeah.
Because we had guys that gambled a lot on the team, and our casinos was like an hour and a half away from Ashburn. So if that thing is 20, 30 minutes, boy, ain't no telling. You got some boys with a couple dollars in their pocket, boy, that casino could get in trouble.
Y'all weren't doing any gambling in the locker room, were you?
Oh, every night. Every day.
I didn't do the gambling.
We played Tunk, we played Boo-Ray, we played anything that you could freaking bet on.
Spades.
What was that game we had?
I was gonna say, what is Boo-Ray?
You never heard that before.
So every time someone asks about Boo-Ray, I always bring up Gilbert Arenas because it's the one where he almost shot his damn teammate. But it's like a 5-card spade, and you flip over one card. The dealer will flip over one card, and whatever card he flips over is the trump. So you play spades, but you play it with the card that's flipped over. That's now the new spade. And then you got an opportunity to drop your hand and get out, and then you can replace up to 5 cards in your hands to make your hand better. Hopefully it makes it better. Sometimes it makes it worse. But that's why it's a mixture of poker and spades, because you kind of got to lie and get good cards on the come out, so it's good, but it's a big money game. It's a big money game. and it's like one of the most it gives you like a huge rush when you play it, bro. And we used to be at Santana House and we would gamble, all night, but it was just us having fun around each other. We'll order pizza, wings, and we'll just, have fun playing cards all night. I'm talking about like 9, 10 o'clock to damn, it's 4, 5 o'clock. We got to get up in the morning for this 8 o'clock meeting.
Care to tell the folks how much you ever dropped at one time playing that game, Chris?
Oh man, whew, I don't know, bro. One night I tell you, before I even really started making money, I had got booed one night, and the pot was like 13,000, and my stomach just dropped. I was like, oh my god, like 13 grand in one hand. But the good thing about Boo-ray is, like, if you get booed and you don't get any books, your money goes into the pot, and on the next hand, you still have an opportunity to win your money. And that next hand came up, and I was able to win my money back, so I didn't get booed. But I've seen some games where it's like, bro, $40,000 boo, and it just be like, I'll pay you back next week. It was a bunch of loans going around in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? And our payday Tuesday.
That's that hurt.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. It definitely hurt. But Boo-ray's a cool game. Everybody play. Even the NBA announcers was talking about Boo-ray last night. Because I think
funny. They was playing in the locker room last night.
Yeah, yep.
Here, going back to football real quick. So there's a lot of like hoopla in the media about basically all the former offensive coordinators that went through Washington, D.C., Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur. I was wondering, did you guys notice anything special about them when you were in the locker room with them? Did any of them speak to you and, like, you know, that's the one that I really attached to, that was a good coach that really inspired me? Or just want to kind of get your relationship about either one of those. I guess Pierre first, more of an offensive coach.
Yeah, we had relationships. I had a relationship with most of those guys because they're all offensive guys. Kyle Shanahan brought me into DC. Sean McVay was the tight end coach when I was there. You know, those guys played receivers, so we kind of had a mutual, you know, bond. Just a connection. Sean McVay getting a good receiver in high school, and
he makes sure to tell you that he won State Player of the Year over Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. He always remind people that. And Kyle Shanahan always show his highlight from Texas.
That's so funny. How'd you guys react? You guys just laugh at that? Like, I mean, clearly you guys are probably more athletic than he was, right?
But they had to remind us that they understand where they're coming from when they tell us to do something. That was the setup. And Matt LaFleur was the quarterback coach, so you know those guys had a great brain, a knowledge of football. You know, they were taught by Mike Shanahan, and you know that offense, that West Coast offense. You know, they still running it, still have great players running it, and we knew the plays that they call were for success. You know, they're saying how they're setting up the defense with the run, you know, then throw the play action, and it all worked. We saw it happen. We saw it come together, and obviously we couldn't stay together as a band, but, you know, we were excited about the offense that they were drawing up, and, you know, we just had to execute. And, you know, seeing that they're all three are head coaches, you're not surprised by it, but, you know, I couldn't say that I saw that all three were going to be a head coach, but I'm not surprised that they are head coaches.
And clearly you had a good relationship with Kyle, right? Because you followed him over to San Francisco, correct?
Oh, yeah, great relationship with Kyle. You know, Kyle's all about just having football players that want to play. You know, this is how we run our system here. This is how we want it. You can do it. If not, we're going to find somebody else that can do it. It makes perfect sense.
And then one more follow-up question. Sorry, Doug. So basically, you know, obviously San Francisco, they're actually doing really well. Their offensive scheme looks really good as well there too. Jimmy G, I don't know if you've been watching. Do you still watch football, Pierre, or no? Do you guys watch it on a regular basis?
We don't get to watch the Commanders. We don't get to watch, you know, the teams that we want to watch. But I'm down there watching the Dolphins and Tampa Bay. Now they might take both teams off the screen down here because, you know, Tom Brady's gone. The Dolphins got Mike McDaniel now. He was on the staff as well with us in Washington, D.C. So, you know, I'm stuck with these two teams to watch, and I'll definitely be paying a lot closer attention to the Dolphins. But you know, we don't get to watch. You know, we get to watch the national game and then, you know, the regional games.
Got it. Okay, because I was going to ask you about Jimmy G or Wentz or Trubisky or any of those guys. Do you find any of them as talented quarterbacks as you want in D.C., or how do you feel about that?
They are talented. They are veterans. You know, obviously getting the quarterback position fixed in DC is number one. You know, Taylor hasn't done a bad job. It's just we just need, you know, to finish it. We just got to make it to the playoffs and, you know, actually get a chance in that tournament. But, you know, having veteran quarterbacks battle it out on a roster is never a bad thing. So it's as long as we keep upgrading.
Okay.
So, you know, Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, Carson Wentz. whoever's out there,
I don't like
competition.
Jimmy G. I don't like.
Yeah, I was gonna. So yeah, keep it real, Chris. What's going on? Why don't you like Jimmy G? Let me know if you don't mind.
I mean, I don't. I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about him. Is he decent? Yeah, but is he what we need to get over the hump in DC? I don't think so. Because I feel like there are going to be a lot of instances where he may be in a I have to win it situation, and can you put the offense behind him, and that just doesn't happen. And when he had he had like 3 opportunities to make the game-winning drive or take all the time off the clock, and they went 3 and out or backwards every time in the most critical situation that you could be in football. And that's not what I look for in my quarterback or something that I want as an upgrade for the Commanders, who we're starting a new team. We need something that's very exciting, that's going to score 30, 40 points a game, and that's not Jimmy G. Jimmy G is going to, make the wide open throws, miss a couple wide open throws. He'll basically do what freaking Heineke do, but he'll probably throw for like 10% more better. You know what I mean? So I just don't. I'm not
a minor improvement.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, I'm not. I want Deshaun Watson, but I know with the allegations and stuff that we got as an organization, and then the stuff that he's going through, it probably won't be a good match. But if we can find a way to get Deshaun Watson, man, I would love him.
I'm not disagreeing with you on Deshaun Watson as well.
Right. I'm not sure what quarterbacks they have coming out in the draft, or if we're really be in a position to draft a good quarterback. But some type of veteran will be an upgrade over what we have. Not to say that Heineke is bad, but we just need something a little bit better. And he'll be a great backup because he's definitely a guy who you could depend on to get you maybe 3 or 4 wins, what I'm saying, throughout the season when your starting quarterback is not available. So we'll see who's available, who we could get via trade, but I would definitely do what we can to get a young, good, proven quarterback. And even if we have to find a veteran, we get a veteran at a good price, and then still draft a guy who can learn from him. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the organization decides to do, if we'll be able to trade for a Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, or if we just sit back and we feel comfortable with signing, Mitch Trubisky or Jimmy G, which I hope we don't. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Chris gets angry when you bring up Jimmy G coming to the team.
I like keep it real, man. I love it. It's good, man. Keep it real.
Yeah, man. I don't want that. It's like now you understand what the fans used to always talk about, because all of my friends are Cowboy fans, and a lot of them are down in DC. So it's always the same conversation. Y'all might be good, y'all might not be good, but we know that y'all not about to do nothing. Forever as players, we try and do our best to, get as far as we can get. And we was only able to get to like the first round of the playoffs, but at least we was able to make it. You know what I mean? But obviously you want more success as a team, and how do you get that success? I think it starts with making a correct decision on a quarterback.
Does it affect players depending on their quarterback, like the confidence of your players and like your outlook of the year? Like if you're like, hey, I have Deshaun Watson on my team, we can win the Super Bowl, or I have, quarterback X, like we aren't as confident this year. Do you feel it as players, or honestly, how do you guys feel about that? Definitely.
Feel it as players, feel it as former players, you feel it as a player watching the game. In football, there's one position that, that can win or lose the game. The quarterback, if Tom Brady comes up, you got a chance. Mm-hmm. We all knew Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to set the world on fire because he's a rookie into the NFL. Like, it's just, how the game is. Like, having a quarterback will let you know you're going to go for 1,000 yards, or, you're just scraping, hoping to get a pass.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I have one last question for you. I was scrolling through pictures the other day, and I came across Deshaun Jackson giving Jay a purple Nurple. Have you ever given a coach a purple Nurple before?
Never.
Do you know what a purple Nurple is?
Did he twist his nipple?
Yeah, you ever seen that one where Deshaun Jackson's giving Jay a titty twister?
Yeah, but you know what? And that's what I would talk about when it came to Jay Gruden. Like, I loved him. You know, I had great success under him. But like when it came to interaction, like with Coach Shanahan, when you saw him, you would just like, "Hi, Mr. Shanahan," or "Hi, Coach." You know what I'm saying? Like there was no, chest bumping him or slapping him on the ass, his nipples. But with like Jay, man, you could walk by him and nut tap him and pinch his nipple, and he'll be cool with it. You know what I mean? He was mad cool like that. And it was so different, so much more different, like coming from a Shanahan to a Jay, because Jay was just so loose. Shanahan, he ran a tight ship. It was like you knew you was coming to work. You know what I mean? Like you knew not to be late because he was definitely going to fine you. Jay, you may be able to talk yourself out of a fine. But Shanahan, you knew. And Shanahan had freaking cameras at the entrance to see who came in late because he was definitely going to fine you.
What was your preference between the two guys? I want to hear about that after, Chris. Go ahead. Sorry.
You said what?
What was your preference of the two between Shanahan or Gruden? Like, do you like that tight structure and rigidness, or do you like that approachable coach?
I like them both, but me personally, I like Shanahan better. I just felt like we were so much more focused as a group on what needed to be done. And he was really like a stickler on like how to answer the media. And it was interesting as a player, especially as a young player, is like this was really how they do it in the NFL. It's just like if you have an ankle injury, just say you have a leg. If you have an elbow injury, just say, hey, my arm is hurt. Never give the opponent the exact injury. And when he talked to reporters, they'd be like, so we heard that Chris Baker had an ankle injury. Yeah, his leg hurts. You know what I mean? He never gave out whatever, but we didn't go over that type of stuff for Gruden. It was so much more laid back, you know what I mean? But I like the more structured coach like a Shanahan.
I'm the same way. Definitely feel the same way like Chris feels. And obviously love the way the coaches win. Whoever has the most winning percentage, I'm following that lead because I came here to win. That was the number one thing. It's laid back and win, that's fine with me. If it's tight ship and win, that's fine with me.
Right.
Sounds good.
Fellas, I appreciate it, man. This was awesome. Pierre, we appreciate you hopping on today.
My pleasure, man.
George, thanks for filling in the co-host seat with me.
Of course, man. No problem. Have a good time.
Chris, we'll see you Monday.
All right, but dog. Appreciate
it,
Pierre.
Appreciate you, Chris. See you guys.
See you guys later. Thanks, but Doug. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry if I spoke too much. I was trying to have a nice little balance back and forth with you.
Nah, you're good.
All right, cool. Catch you later, man.
All right, man.
Peace.